Hello, my name's Alice. Today I'm going to be having a talk to you about the accident that you witnessed. I hope you're comfortable with the camera. We're just filming so that we have an accurate recollection of this interview. Alright, and your name is?
Tim Leeson.
Alright, thank you. And your address, Tim?
It's 8 Salem Court, Yeppoon, Queensland.
Alright, thank you. Now, would you like to take me back to the event? Accuracy is important, so if you don't remember any details, that's fine, and just say so. I'll allow you to run over your story completely, as much detail as you can remember, and then we'll take it back step by step so that we can find out a little bit more detail. Throughout the interview I'm going to be taking notes, and at the end I will show you my notes and get you to sign them to show that it is an accurate recollection of what we've talked about and discussed in this interview. That's alright?
No problem. Okay,
so shall we start with what you remember of the events immediately leading up to the accident?
Okay, I was driving west on the Capricorn Highway about 4 or 5 years ago now, some time ago, and I was going to a meeting with a customer in Emerald, so it was early in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun had just come up. It was in the series of dips just before you get to Duringa, and I saw something on the opposite side of the dip that I was about to drive into on the road. I wasn't quite sure what it was. It looked like it might have been a police car or a roadblock or something being set up.
Yep.
And a B-double truck rolled down the hill and stopped at the bottom as I went past it, going up the hill, still wondering what it was in the road.
Yeah.
As I got closer, I realised there were 2 cars had crashed head on right in the middle of the road, slightly to the western lane, the lane travelling west, and I pulled up just as a road crew pulled up the other side. The guys got out of the road crew vehicle and helped a lady out of the car that was facing east, had been travelling east. She had a bit of blood on her head. She clearly didn't really know where she was, and 2 of the road crew guys were helping her to the side of the road, and we were looking for some shade to stand her in. The 2 cars were both small Toyotas, something like a Corolla. One was a new one, one was an old one. The newer one was the one travelling east, and the older one was the one travelling west. There was a guy still sitting in the car that had been travelling west, and a couple of the road crew wanted to get him out, and myself and another guy who had pulled up by then, I think behind me, we both were arguing that we should leave him in the vehicle, and were trying to see what sort of state he was in through the driver's window. I noticed immediately that he was pretty much trapped in the car. The steering wheel was pushed way back, the windscreen was broken, and he had a huge gash on the side of his throat. I didn't notice at the time, but afterwards I realised that it wasn't bleeding. He seemed to groan a couple of times, and we thought he was alive, and we're still arguing with the guys who were trying to get in. Now they were trying to get in through the back window because you couldn't get the doors open.
Yeah.
I said to somebody, probably one of the road crew, that we should disconnect the battery and leave him in there, and that's when one of the guys said, "Oh no, we've already disconnected the battery." So while we were looking at the guy, somebody else had got under the bonnet and disconnected the battery. I asked if anybody called the police. There wasn't a positive answer, so I phoned the police on my mobile phone that was back in the car, and they asked me where I was, and that's something I couldn't quite remember in all the excitement. I couldn't place exactly where we were on the road, but I'd had my GPS on in the car, so I gave them the GPS position and suggested we might need a helicopter because the guy in the car looked pretty bad. It was only a couple of minutes after that the police turned up, because, as it turned out, we were only about 2 miles away, 3 kilometres from Duringa.
Yep.
He pulled up and had a quick look at the situation, looked at the lady who was still sitting on the side of the road. She was pretty much okay, I realised by then. guy in the car still hadn't moved, and traffic was beginning to back up. The road crew were beginning to manage the traffic.
Yep.
So I gave the policeman my details and left. That was
Okay.
it. Whole thing was about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes tops.
Alright. Okay, well, thank you for that. Let's go through it step by step and we'll see if we can get a bit more details. So, when you arrived at the scene, coming up the hill, did you notice anything particular about the way the cars were positioned?
Yeah, they were sort of on the east-facing, the west-facing side, same side that I was travelling in, going towards Emerald.
Yeah.
Pretty much head on. They'd hit each other offside to offside, front of those, so the corners had hit each other.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, the airbags had gone off in the newer car, and the older car obviously didn't have airbags by the looks of it.
Alright.
That was another thing I noticed.
Yep. So, is that how the scene appeared when you arrived? The cars were in motion, still?
Yeah, just a bit of fluid and smoke and steam coming from them.
Yep. Was there anything significant about the piece of road that they were on that may have contributed?
There was no hard shoulder. It was in a cut through at the top of the hill, just on the brow of the hill, where the road had been cut into the hill, and there was probably no more than 400 mil on each side of the road outside of the white lines down the edge.
Okay. Yep. Right. So, when you arrived at the scene, was the first thing you did stop and help?
I pulled over and jumped out of the car, yes, to go and see if there was anything I could do.
Okay.
Approached the two cars to see who was in them, and first thought was really first aid. What can we do to help anybody? And I realised I didn't have a first aid kit in the car.
Okay. What were the weather conditions?
Sun had just come up and it was clear and dry.
Mm-hmm. So, what was the visibility in those conditions?
Good, I'd say. Particularly over that side of the road.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Were there any other witnesses to the crash?
Yeah, the truck driver who walked back up the hill, he arrived sometime after we had looked at the accident and were dealing with the victims of the accident.
Did you speak to the witnesses?
Yes, yeah. The only other witness was the truck driver.
Okay. So, what did you learn from speaking to him?
He was coming. He was travelling east, same direction as the newer Toyota, and saw her overtaking him at the brow of the hill on double white lines, and thought that this wasn't going to go well.
Yeah. So was there any evidence of the cars trying to avoid that crash?
Yeah. When you looked at the road, there was a long skid mark from the brow of the hill where the double white lines were, which sort of corroborated what the truck driver was saying. It went from the brow of the hill right up to the newer Toyota, and then there were short skid marks on the car coming up the hill that suggested that probably he didn't see her as soon as she saw him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, well thank you for that, it's very interesting. I'll show you your statement here and you can tell me if there's anything on that you would like to change or anything that may not be accurate.
Yeah, no, that looks pretty good.
Alright, thanks. Well, I'll just print this out now and I will get you a copy to say, to sign and keep for yourself. If you just give me a moment. Alright, can I just have you sign here and here on both of these copies?
Yep. There we go.
Thank you very much. I'll just sign one and then you can take it. There you go. And thank you for your time.
Right. Good.
Thank you.